Previously on McDojoLife.
I finally made it. I'm on McDojoLife. Wait, my position has always been that the whole "you're gonna get somebody killed" thing is overblown and not really a thing.
Why don't we start with what a McDojo is?
I think that's important. How do you define McDojo?
I have 5 very specific rules to what I consider a McDojo. 1, pedophiles. Rule number 2 is lying about your belt rank or your fight record. Rule number 3 is unsafe training practices and cult-like behavior. Next one on the list is shady business practices. The last one is no-touch knockouts and mislabeling technique.
That clears out right away that the main thing that I'm looking for is the best instructors.
Will this get you killed? And the answer is absolutely.
But this is the thing. The problem is, as Rob says, the amount of power that a mob and peer pressure can have, like all these people complicit.
Or a cult leader.
Yeah.
Cult of personality is strong sometimes.
Yeah, the number of people complicit, it becomes a cycle. If there's 1,000 people on board with what we're doing, and I'm thinking it's a bad idea, I feel out of place. I feel wrong. And the unsafe training practices, slamming kids, hurting hurting even adults, like the guys that Joshua Fabian hanging Diego upside down and punching him. This most recent dude punching him. Like, of course not. They will get somebody hurt or killed. Someone that is a pedophile or child molester will get somebody hurt, right? That was never what I was talking about. What I am talking about is if you train at a place where they're not lying, they're not cheating, they're not trying to steal money from you, they're not trying to prey on the children.
They just suck.
They're just not that good. You know what I mean? Like, nobody there's that good. If you wanna move to New York City and go train at Henzo's place, you'll probably have the best BJJ. But if there's like a purple belt who teaches at the rec center and you've never done BJJ before, you'll probably learn some okay BJJ. It's convenient. He's not gonna get somebody killed. I'm not saying it could never happen or did never happen, but there are also, you've covered plenty of examples of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu experts, professional MMA fighters, and pro boxers trying to defend themselves and failing. And you wouldn't ever say BJJ is gonna get somebody killed, but a guy was confident enough in his ability to defend himself that he tried some BJJ and got himself hurt or killed real bad. Well, that happens too.
A false sense of confidence is a dangerous thing.
That's a key point. I don't think that is as big a deal as most people do.
Let's say...
Wait, let me qualify. Well, no, you give your example and then I'll backtrack.
All right, gotcha. Then I'll rebuttal. Here's the example. There is a lady, and you might actually remember these videos because she completely stopped doing them, by the way. And so she did a thing for Tech Insider. So not Business Insider.
Oh, I know. I saw that.
So Tech Insider, and so she did a series of videos of women's self-defense. Absolute dog shit.
Yeah, it was all terrible.
Like all bad. Like she was talking about one of the examples, and I'm just saying this because it's a really funny example. Is you're mounted, and she was talking about moving your hips.
Yeah.
She did a
little dance.
Like,
I've seen the video.
It's never gonna happen.
Yeah.
Never gonna work. Women's self-defense courses are great introductory classes to learning martial arts. It's like, hey, here's a little taste. You should continue your education to actually be able to be effective.
Yes.
But what she was doing is she was certifying these people and giving them such a high sense of confidence in themselves that they could defend themselves. That goes down the line of, is learning nothing better than learning just enough to get you hurt?
Ryan Hoover's talked about it. He has a good video on it. And I've heard other people talk about it, and I've heard compelling arguments for both.
And my example is very simple.
Yeah.
Ladies walking down the street with a purse.
Right.
And obviously, I'm not trying to be sexist. I'm not excluding dudes. I'm sure there are dudes who learn bullshit.
Well, the thing is, this stuff
these are usually
they
geared,
target. Yeah,
targeted,
they target women. Yeah.
Targeted. So this woman has now become certified. She's been hyped up by all these other women, right? And all this lady is saying, you're so good. Like, you could do this, you could do that. And she's dropping these nuggets in her head. And so now this woman's walking down the street with this confidence that she didn't have before. Good, I'm glad she has confidence. And now, next thing you know, this 250-pound steroid-eating dude, and all he does is rob people and think about robbing people and working out while he robs people. He decides he's going to take the purse. Now, the average person, what they would do is they would freak the out, and then they would let the person take the purse.
They probably freeze.
Yeah, and then the purse would be gone.
Yeah.
You fall back to your training. It's a very standard thing. Now,
Yep.
granted, this lady hasn't had a lot of training, hypothetically, but she might have gone home, practiced this, and worked on this just enough to have that flinch response of, I'm going to stop you. Then the guy turns around and goes, wham, and punches her in the teeth because he's trying to commit a crime in broad daylight, trying to get away with it, punches her in the mouth, her head ricochets off concrete, and she dies. Might not have happened had she just not done anything at all.
So that falls into the category of all the examples of bad martial arts or bullshido or McDojo stuff, whatever you want to call it, whatever term you use, all those examples were pretty extreme and had sort of a pile up of lots of red flags, like occultism and lies and manipulation and all this. In my opinion, and I can't see inside people's minds, I don't think that there's malicious or dishonest. I think the people that teach that stuff really do believe it. They're not like, man, this stuff is not real and I'm about to take all these women's money. Like, I'm sure there are dudes that like that.
Well, I'm sure there are, yeah, for
right,
sure.
but that goes back to what we all agree on is a McDojo, right? We agree that shady business practices are lying. But when we take a guy or a girl who's teaching people stuff and they're just not very good, or they don't have a ton of exposure and a ton of experience, and then you say, well, them teaching bad stuff, which again, we're getting real subjective. Because like you would say my armbar is trash, right?
I don't know if I would. I haven't seen your armbar.
It's trash, right? But Hickson or Henzo might look at your armbar and think that it's trash. You know what I mean? And then you could go on.
And so, but you bring up something that's super important. The devil is in the details with things.
Right.
So like, again, this goes into mislabeling technique.
Yeah.
Dale Brown's a perfect example.
Yeah.
I'm just going to use him because he's a hot topic right now for people to understand, and they'll immediately understand who this person is. So Dale Brown, for example, and the reason I have such issue with him is because he is one of those people who has been exposed to Navy SEALs.
He could know better if he chose to.
He just chooses to continue to teach subpar on purpose. Which is a mislabeling of what he's doing.
The big caveat, the big rub between my position and people's interpretation of my position is the dishonesty part.
For sure.
Right? I think if everyone's honest, I don't call that a McDojo. I don't call that bullshido. I think it's dumb and stupid, and it's not how I would spend my time.
Yeah.
But you're free to do dumb. A lot of people spend their time and money in dumb, stupid ways, right?
This is true.
But that level of martial arts, where you subjectively think it's not effective and good, the likelihood that it's going to get somebody killed, I don't think is so much greater than the likelihood that, well, I boxed a lot and I think I'm going to fight this dude.
Well, my opinion, and just to toss it out there, is that you are more likely to be killed and taken advantage of and molested and abused and have all kinds of horrible things happen to you. You're more likely to have that happen by the cult and the instructor than you are outside.
Agreed totally. The important qualifiers to my position were the person wasn't already so damn dumb that they would have fought back when they shouldn't have anyway. I trained in some bullshido, or what someone would label as bullshido, ineffective, fake martial arts, whatever, a McDojo, whatever, however you would label it.
Yeah.
I trained in it, and because I trained in it, I tried something, and because I tried that, I got killed. But had I not tried this, I wouldn't have.
You'd be alive.
So that's important. So if I teach you a fake gun disarm, right? And then a bad guy goes like this and starts shooting you, and you try your fake disarm and you die. You were gonna die anyway.
Yeah, you were already a dead man.
So it doesn't fit.
You know.
Well, I have another qualifier.
Okay.
So those types of scenarios wouldn't fit. If a guy comes in and starts spraying everyone, your gun disarm didn't work. All right, just waiting to die wouldn't have worked either. Right? Then the other one is, and I unfortunately have gotten sucked into this early in my career, where I was dealing with people who were just either stupid or mentally ill or just deficient in some form, and they were just so damn dumb that you're talking about people that might have thought they could fight back anyway.
Yeah.
You know? And the last way I'll sort of, I guess, defend my position is I trained in what most people would call a McDojo. I don't think it fits according to your criteria. It was a strip mall Kuksulwan dojang, a Korean martial arts, basically like Korean karate. It's pretty watered down. It's not very effective. I can say looking back now, it's not very effective. Did that for years as a kid. Got my black belt before I was done with puberty. That sort of stuff, most people call it a McDojo. They never treated me wrong. They never overcharged us. I didn't pay for lessons because I taught classes. No contracts. None of the stuff that Rob described. Nothing bad ever happened there, right? It's just lame.
Just wasn't as good.
Right?
There's better.
I Cooksulwand damn near 200 people on duty as a police officer. You know what I mean? I was in over 200 documented uses of force. I was never injured during one of them. That was before I trained MMA, before I trained Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, before I learned boxing, before I learned Muay Thai. On a guy that didn't know how to fight, knowing that garbage by your standards and my standards now was better than not knowing nothing, because we had a dumb trip that I would hit on people that didn't know how to fight all the time.
Then it works.
Yeah,
it works. So that's the caveat.
But
it worked when you applied it.
Yeah.
So it worked.
But had anybody in the current world of YouTube martial arts seen any video of that training, or anyone now that knows what Cooksulwan is, they would all say, this is gonna get somebody killed.
But that's the ego. We talked about projecting.
Right.
Just because you're in martial arts for a reason does not mean you need to project that onto someone else's reason. Like if you're going to martial arts because you want to lose 30 pounds and I'm going to martial arts because I want to be a kickboxer, I can't look at you and down your want to lose 30 pounds if you're actually doing it.
Yeah.
I'd be like, dude, you gained 30 pounds. Then I'll call it bullshit. But if you're actually getting to your goals, it doesn't matter what my goal is.
Right.
My goal is moot in this point. My goal doesn't matter.
I think the idea of what a McDojo is or what Bullshido is so watered down. It's like many terms that people use to disparage each other. They become overused and then they lose their meaning.
It happens all the time. That's why it's so important to have a standardized definition of what it's. You cannot fight something like that unless you know what it is.
Yeah.
My rules, since I've started this, slightly changed. Hardly at all.
There's
just little things.
There's very little fat on those rules. I think that people just don't think it through when they see a couple of guys in the park having fun doing spin kicks or wushu or whatever, or some woo-woo kind of dumb stuff, and they say, they're going to get somebody killed. That's who I'm talking to.
Well, I think that those are the same kind of people who probably don't dance.
Right.
Those are the same people who don't dance. Why don't they dance? Because they're worried about how they're going to be perceived by other people. And that, again, is your ego. That is 100% your ego.
Yeah.
Now, again, I still think, for sure, wholeheartedly, that you could learn and be overconfident by an instructor and go out and get yourself killed. Do I think that that's a high percentage thing? No.
Yeah.
I think it's your chances are better of getting killed during training with a McDojo.
With a McDojo, according to your rules.
Yes.
Yeah. The only last thing I'll say about the false confidence thing, and this has been, and again, a lot of this stuff is not stuff that can be measured. Because we can't see inside people's brains. You can't know whether they were...
follow them all the time.
Yeah, because there's not a ton of instances of it happening for us to, after action, say, yeah, well, I was going to this Kung Fu school, or I was going to a Hapkido school, and I was going to say I'm not picking on Kung Fu or Hapkido, but I kind of am, right? And then I tried it and it didn't work and I got killed. There's no one to tell that story, you know what I mean? The robber's not like, well, he tried technique number 13 from the yellow belt curriculum and it didn't work and I shot him. Like that.
The robber comes into the studio hey guys, y'all gotta spruce up your curriculum.
Technique 13's gotta go. It didn't work.
Let's scratch that. Just bring me another student in the alley.
Yeah. A lot of people think that my position undercuts what you do.
No, and I don't think so at all. We've had conversations that we fucking talk,
we
right?
just ate lunch.
Yeah, we've been talking for a long time.
So I sort of think that the idea of this is going to give somebody false confidence. No, when someone puts a gun in your face, if you ain't never actually had a gun in your face, you're not going to be like, yes. I've been waiting for this.
And I talk about this a lot. Whenever I do videos about gun disarms, I talk about the actual reaction of what people will do.
Yeah.
And step one is usually shit your pants.
Yeah.
So all right, so a guy's got a gun in your face. Step one, shit your pants. Step two, because you're going to have that moment of reality of mortality.
I have taken sim guns out of dudes' hands that were fighting their ass off to keep me from taking it while trying to shoot me. I have done it successfully a bunch of times. I've also gotten killed a bunch of times, but I got better at it, right? And I kind of know how to do it. And I've tested it for real, as hard as you can go. And I tell you right now, if someone stuck a gun in my face, I'd be like, dude, whatever, man. You can have whatever. I would not have any false confidence because And you could argue this, well, I have a stronger understanding of the reality of it. I really feel like the stress inoculation only comes from, the ability to act under stress only comes from exposure to it. I think without sparring, I think the risk of that is far lower. That's just my guess. But that's my position. So I'm glad Rob was able to educate me and horrify me and give me the opportunity to clarify.
Just to kind of wrap up the conversation. One, dude, I fucking appreciate you. I always appreciate your input. I highly respect it. I think that you're one of those people that you really do form an educated opinion. And I think that you probably troll a lot of people sometimes with shit just to get a rise.
Yeah.
But you do have a good opinion. And
maybe a little.
There is a book, and I suggest people go out there and get it. And I'm not paid for this whatsoever. This is just something that I think that people will educate people. And the book is called Why, Gary, Why? And it's about a kid. His name was Jody Plowshay. And Jody Plowshay now is an adult, and he wrote the book about being molested and abducted by his martial arts instructor. His martial arts instructor was molesting him for a very long time sexually, and then eventually abducted him, took him away, stole him away, I do believe, for like 2 weeks. After he took him away, I guess he got cold feet, wound up bringing the child back to his parents. After he did that, of course, he was arrested. The father was very happy. All of this, by the way, was all televised. This was very big news when it happened. But the father was extremely happy that Jody got brought back to him, which the father's name is Gary. When that happened, though, he had asked his son, he said, hey, did he molest you? And the son said no. Well, the police ran a rape kit and found out that he had been molested for a very long time. After that had happened, the father freaked out. He just could not take the information that had happened. And he winds up finding out where they're going to be bringing the martial arts instructor for trial, where they're going to be flying him in. So he goes to a payphone and he waits while he's on the phone with a friend of his, telling his friend what he's about to do. His plan was he was going to shoot the guy for what he did to his son. In all honesty, I see why.
I took tons of dudes to jail. That like it was my job to take them to jail, and they broke the law and they did wrong. But I was driving to jail thinking, I mean, I get it.
Yeah.
You know? Like, hey, why'd you do it? And they tell you, and you're like, it checks out.
He winds up turning around, pulling the trigger, and between two police officers winds up shooting this guy in the head and killing him right there on television in front of the world to see. He did not spend 1 day in prison. Not one. But the police officer, when this happened, yelled out, why, Gary, why? And that's why the name of the book. But if you're a parent and you're trying to get your children into a martial arts facility, you need to read this book. You need to understand what the signs are of grooming. You need to understand what is okay and appropriate for an instructor to do with your child. And you need to get off your goddamn cell phone, lift your head, watch the class, and don't just drop your child off. You guys have watched the video all the way up to this point. I want you to do me a favor, and I want you to kind of give us maybe some rules that we didn't cover, maybe some things that aren't a part of this, and it'll open up a little bit more of a dialogue.
More red flags, more things you can think about.
Yeah, or even, here, well, you know what? We'll even go the opposite way just to see if you're really paying attention. Give me a list of things that you think are good qualities in a martial arts school.
I think we should spend more time on that, more time on positivity than negativity.
For sure, but then I wouldn't be able to.
Oh, that's kind of, that runs antithetical to what you do.
Like,
sorry.
Stops me from being able to save people. But yes.
We should also do positivity.
Yes, as well. Let's go ahead and go positive after going down this rabbit hole. Let me know in the comment sections below what you think qualifies a good instructor and a good school. I really appreciate you guys paying attention to the video, actually listening to our conversation back and forth. If you get the opportunity, go over to Hard to Hurt. This is Icy Mike over at Hard to Hurt. In all honesty, he still doesn't believe me. It is one of my favorite YouTube channels. When I watch YouTube, I usually go to his videos and check it out. As always, thank you all for the likes, comments, shares, subscriptions, and all that other crap people online tell you to do. Keep the martial arts legit.